Well, actually, in today's video, we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 8 to 10 days in today's video. This day it's up to around the 8th of March, so up to the end of the first week of spring. It looks like we're going to be turning colder next week. I think you're going to get some northerly winds coming in, certainly bring some frost by night, possibly some snow showers as well into northern parts of the country in particular. Now, whether this is just a short, sharp sort of shock of cold weather and we revert back to something milder, or whether this could eventually end up as quite a prolonged cold spell, I'm not sure. There is a chance it could end up as quite a prolonged cold spell with high pressure going up to Scandinavia. As I was explaining in the video, I think it was on Tuesday, and you can see that on the catch-up page if you want to catch up on the earlier videos through the week. Go to the catch-up page. I was explaining this on Tuesday, that the key with these situations is to get into the block, really. Get the high pressure over Scandinavia. Once you get it into place, then it can generate into quite a prolonged cold spell. But the trick is to get it into place in the first place, because very often it goes wrong as you're going through no more than a couple of days of building the high pressure up over Scandinavia. And got a bit of a disagreement this morning between the GFS and the E70F. The GFS sort of flattens everything off, so we never get this easterly, whereas the E70F really is going for the easterly this morning. So I'll show you the charts in a moment, but before we go on with that, just to say about the ad. So links to articles on most of the pages at gazweather.com. Have a browse through the widget, which is just underneath the video here on my homepage, and see what the articles are about. If there's anything there that you're interested in, just click through. In fact, so much do. I'll put the link back to Gas Shop, by the way. A lot of people don't realise that Gas Shop runs through the year, although I very rarely plug it in the videos until we get to Christmas. But it's there in the background of the website. I'll put the link back to it here on the homepage. Just in case you want to do any shopping at Amazon at any point through the year, really, because I've got Mothering something coming up in a couple of weeks, so maybe you want to buy some Mother's Day presents, or whatever you want to do, really. Just want to go to Amazon, you just click through the Amazon banners in Gas Shop, go off and do your shopping at Amazon, and that'll be the case throughout the year. I'll only really plug it around Christmas, a couple of months before Christmas, but it's there through the year. If you want to go to Amazon, just click through from the Amazon banners. Right, better get on with the video. And here we go for today. Got quite a lot of heavy rain here coming across the country. That's quite an active weather front, quite a slow moving weather front as well. So that's going to bring some quite heavy rain. This is the GFS precipitation forecast. You're going to have quite a lot of rain coming up over the next few days. So today's rain will clear away into the southeast, but take a long time to clear the far southeast. Could be raining there until this evening. This is 6 o'clock this evening, with heavy wintry showers following to the north and the west. Now on Saturday, we're going to have a rather damp day. There'll be weeks of weather that's coming in on Friday night and through Saturday, producing little bits and pieces of rain. Quite a dull, damp day on Saturday. And then heavier rain will start to move in later on. So this is 6 o'clock in the evening on Saturday, with very heavy rain coming in across Ireland at that point. That spreads across all parts of the country on Saturday night, so real soaking coming through there on Saturday night and Sunday morning. And then on Monday, we could bring another weather system through. So here we are at 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday, with quite heavy rain here down across Ireland and South West. A lot of uncertainty of this area's low pressure. Yesterday, the GFS was really blowing this up into a major storm on Monday. Now it's being shoved further southwards, and it's not as intense, but it could still bring some very wet weather through the course of Monday. Here we are at midday on Monday, with more heavy rain coming in across Ireland, England and Wales in particular, and that gets stuck across England and Wales through much of Monday. So I think we could be in some places looking certainly at over an inch of rain over the next few days, possibly some places getting up to 2 inches of rain. There may be the risk of a little bit of localised flooding by the time we get through to the start of next week, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But quite a bit of rain to end the winter and start the spring. Now have a look at the GFS and E70F height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. So we've got the ECM here on the left and the GFS is over on the right. Red is extrapolating from these charts to high pressure, and blue is extrapolating to low pressure. They're the mean flow charts for 8 to 10 days time, so this takes us to around the 8th of March. Both quite clearly bring the trough back into the north and the east of the states again. So after a brief sort of respite in the north and east of the states, I think by the end of the first week of March, anyway, it could be turning very cold again. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, in the east and northeast. I'm sure they're pretty fed up with it now in the far northeast states, places like New England. I'm sure they really would like to get on with spring, but no sign of it yet. It looks like the trough will be digging back in for them, bringing very cold and wintry conditions back once more. Now for us, we've got this big area of above average heights here, sitting to the north and the east of the country. So we've got the red colours there on the ECMWF, and we've also got it on the GFS, but there are several differences here between the GFS and the ECMWF. I'm not sure if you make it out terribly well, but the difference really is between a westerly and an easterly flow, because the ECMWF is bringing in easterly winds here with this one. The alignment of the ridge up to the northeast and the trough, cut-off trough down through the Mediterranean, is just perfect, and we bring this easterly wind through, whereas the GFS sort of has the high pressure sitting more to the west of the country, and actually the flow is generally coming from a westerly type direction. This low pressure, the trough in the Atlantic, is sort of flattening the ridge off, whereas on the ECMWF the trough is sort of digging down further into the Atlantic, quite a strong trough digging down into the central Atlantic in this sort of zone, and that allows this ridge to influence the weather to the northeast of the country. It's not quite right on the GFS. The GFS isn't far from it though, so we have got to be watching out for the chance of winds going easterly as we get through to around the weekend of sort of the 7th, 8th of March, so next weekend. Now, the GFS temperature and precipitation ensemble show that we're going to have colder weather coming up next week. Let's start off with the temperatures first of all, and we can see that the 30-year temperature average is the fit red line. We're a bit above average with that at the moment. We've generally got a zonal sine wave coming up for the next few days. Warm, cold, and warm sectors coming through. But as we go through to next week, this is the 1st of March just here, so that's Sunday. As we go through to next week, there's definitely a few days of below average weather coming through, so it does turn colder than average from around the 2nd to around the 5th or the 6th of March. Temperatures will go under average, and then we get to this second half of the ensemble, and that's where we've got all the uncertainty about whether we get this high pressure up over Scandinavia. So we've got lots of scatter through this period. The members that are going above the red line, above the 30-year average, are almost certainly bringing in sort of westerly winds and flattening off the ridge. The members that are going cold on average, and they're in the minority, but there are a significant number of them that go colder than average, or maintain really the colder than average weather through the end of the first week of March into the second week of March. Those members, I think, are generally taking the high pressure up to Scandinavia and bring the winds in from the east. And notice there are significantly cold members there, so don't rule out the chance of really quite a cold blast from the east as we get through to the end of the first week into the second week of March. You've also got a drying trend in evidence, so while I've got this zonal sine wave bringing in quite a lot of precipitation, and then it turns a good deal dry. There is some precipitation coming through, and that's probably on those members that are sort of flattening the ridge off and bringing the westerlies back in and milder temperatures back in. Eventually, the Atlantic probably does reassert itself with those members. But certainly a drying trend from around the 5th of March onwards. Before that, a fair amount of precipitation coming through. The temperature anomaly from the 26th of February to the 6th of March shows that we're going to be a little bit colder than average, and that's really for next week. Over the next couple of days, 2 or 3 days, we're going to be up and down with the temperatures of the warm sectors and the cold sectors all day. But as we get through next week, it could go colder than average, at least from Monday through to around Thursday. I think we will be looking at temperatures coming out below average, and it may extend, as I say, beyond that if the wind gets into the east. The rainfall anomaly from the 26th of February to 6th of March shows that we're going to be a little bit above average, and that is really, again, for the next few days we're bringing in some quite active weather systems. So here's this morning's GFS, and we can see that as we go into the middle of next week, we're in this cold west to northwesterly flow. So the first half of next week, will be cold. We're going to bring in polar maritime air. There'll be more wintry showers, snow showers up in the north. It's going to be a cold start next week, and we go up to the middle of next week, keeping it pretty cold. As we go beyond that in towards Thursday, winds are going northerly, man. We've got this ridge building to the west and the northwest of the country. So winds are going northerly. Snow showers are likely in the north and the east with that. As we go through to Friday the 6th of March, notice the high pressure's trying to ridge up to Scandinavia. So we are trying to pull off this ridge up to the northeast of the country. But we've got these areas of low pressure out in the Atlantic, and what happens, we saw it on the high anomaly chart, is that everything gets flattened off, really. So we go through to day 10, study the 8th of March, and yeah, we're flattening off that high pressure. It's very, very close to coming off, though. Wouldn't take that much of an adjustment from this to get the winds into the east, but it doesn't quite do it on this latest run of GFS as it's got run. It didn't do it on the midnight run either. So the latest idea from a GFS is not really to pull off this easterly, but it is very, very close. Now, the ECMWF, as we saw on the height anomaly chart, does do it. So here we are at the middle of next week, bring down this cold northwesterly flow. So we have cold starts next week, most certainly. As we go through to Thursday, a week's time, Thursday the 5th of March, we have a reach of high pressure in the Atlantic, going up to the northwest of the country, but winds are going northerly, so snow shower distribution is likely to be in the north and the east. And then going out beyond that, we see that on Friday the 6th, we're taking the high pressure ridge from the UK up to Scandinavia. Nice ridge developing there, and unlike the GFS, the ECM does not flatten this off. So as we go through to Saturday the 7th of March, very nice ridge developing over Scandinavia at 1,040 millibars, low pressure 1,040 millibars. Low pressure is stalled out in the Atlantic, and we're sending warm air advection up towards Iceland and Greenland on the Atlantic side of this area of high pressure. So that's helping to promote the ridge, and then we get through to Sunday the 8th, and look at that, we're in the easterly then. High pressure over Scandinavia at 1,045 millibars has taken over pattern, and a very nice easterly wind is drifting in. That could well be bringing snow showers into the east of the country, because there is quite cold air sinking to the east. Temperature at 850 HPA are around -5 to -10. So I'm not talking about severely cold temperatures, but certainly cold enough to be bringing in snow showers, certainly to the eastern side of the country as those winds swing into the east. Now, from this, getting the high pressure into place, as I say, is the key. From that, we could generate this into quite a prolonged cold spell. The easterly winds, once they get in, can be very stubborn and can take a long time to break down. So if we do get ourselves into this position with this high pressure taking over across Scandinavia and getting the winds into the east, I wouldn't rule out a fairly cold first half to March, actually. It could be significantly colder than average. But the key to it all is to get high pressure into place. And that's just what I'm not sure about this morning. There's not enough on the GFS Ensemble to have confidence about, not quite so worried about the operation, what we're just looking at. That can chop and change. But you would want to see pretty good agreement through the Ensemble. And we're not seeing it on the GFS Ensemble at the moment. So it's a case of watch this space. We're certainly going to have some cold weather next week, and there will be frost and wintry showers, certainly through the first and middle part of next week. Whether we then get the high pressure at Scandinavia and turn this into a prolonged cold spell with a risk of snow in the south and the southeast, I'm still not sure, but watch this space. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.